Just
Right away.
straight
The first, I recognize it right now because
Yeah,
we did it in the
Google.
Google, not this intersection, next one. The lanes here are so tiny. Hello and welcome to episode 11 of our Travel Philippines series. This is the last episode. Here we'll be talking about driving in the Philippines and what other transportation options you have. One obvious option is jeepney, right here. It is one of the cheapest options. The other one would be tricycle. Tricycle is pretty much sort of a taxi. I find them actually very unsafe. I don't want to driving that. In terms of jeepney's all open and it's really hot again in the Philippines. Doesn't have any air conditioning. I can be crowded in a jeepney. I wouldn't want to do that either. So we rented a car, but that's not cheap at all. As far as I know, or you can probably rent a van with a driver for about the same price that we rented the car.
They don't care whether they're walking in the road or not.
Obviously, most of the resorts have shuttles from the airport. Some of them don't. Like for example, Punta Fuego. I don't think there was any way to get there. You would have to probably rent a van with a driver to take you there. But other than that, in most cases, you have options. Like for example, Palawan, just and here you see the tricycles. They can take you around. As far as I know, they're very cheap. But to me, they don't look safe. I wouldn't want to ride in
The
that.
church is St. Michael Church. This is my
Let's talk
school.
about driving. If you decide to rent a car, you have to know that driving in the Philippines is very slow. There are vehicles on the road that generally cannot go very fast. And tricycles are some of them. There are lots of scooters as well. They'll always pass you left and right. I was stopping for pedestrians at the very beginning. Soon I realized that when I stop for them, I'm putting them in danger because they walk in front of my car and from behind, left and right, scooters are passing me. So the scooters couldn't see the pedestrians and the pedestrians couldn't see the scooters, creating potentially dangerous situations. So at some point I stopped stopping for pedestrians unless I could make sure that I park close to another car so a scooter couldn't get through. Traffic is very congested. You'll be stuck in traffic for a lot of time. Just stop and go traffic. There's even on the expressways a lot of that. Traffic lights, there aren't many of them. A lot of unregulated really intersections. Person on the right has the right of way, as in most countries. However, traffic is so congested, it's very difficult to figure out who's going when, and you have to be pushing your way through through some intersections if you want to get through it at all. Speed limits. So in cities and towns, generally is 40 kilometers an hour in the Philippines. Some municipalities have 30 kilometers an hour speed limit in residential areas. The school zone speed limit is 20 kilometers an hour, so even the speed limits are pretty low. Traffic usually goes much lower than that, of course. And rush hour goes for a long time. Like one day we were driving at like 11 p.m. I was thinking that by this time there was going to be no traffic coming back from Manila going into Cavite, and traffic was horrible. What you see right now, it's actually 6 a.m., 6 o'clock in the morning in Manila. It is already pretty congested. Also, you have to be aware of motorcycles, scooters, or tricycles, or any vehicles for that matter. Like, they just stop for no reason right in the middle. Don't really move out of your way, so you have to be very careful. Jeepneys are another thing for customers. They would like just stop anywhere, and generally speaking, they go slower because they're looking for customers. Outside of build areas like cities and towns, traffic also moves very, very slowly. I was tempted and sometimes was passing on the right. I do not recommend this. Sometimes you can see tricycles in the right lane. They ride in the left. The right lane is usually an extension of the road, so it was a narrower road before, and it got extended with additional lane on the right. Usually this lane is used by pedestrians or for parked vehicles, so be very careful of that. But also, when those were built, any trees or light poles were not removed, so you might have a light pole right in the middle of the right lane. The speed limit outside of towns and cities is 60 kilometers an hour. This is general. In some areas, it could be 40. I did research this a little bit, and some websites claim that there is 80 kilometers an hour speed limit in the Philippines. I never saw that. It was generally 60. Now, there are a lot of tricycles and scooters on the road. Many of them cannot go as fast as 60 kilometers an hour. You'll see a lot of them doing just 30 or 40. So you have to be very careful and watch for that. They go very slow. It's probably one of the reasons why the speed limit is so low. Another alternative for transports are buses. Buses, they can go long distances as well, not just in and out Manila. They do have buses with air conditioning. Those are more expensive, of course. And there are some smaller buses which are open, kind of like a jeepney, just like a bigger jeepney, I guess. They're cheaper. I think the air-conditioned buses are a good alternative. Again, they stop anywhere for anybody who waves at them. They're trying to get as many customers as possible. Traveling is very slow, one thing, and another thing is when they get on the expressways, they drive nuts. Or when they see an open road, for that matter. Like in a 60 kilometer an hour speed limit, I've seen buses flying with 100. If there was no traffic, or on expressways, I've seen them doing 130 when the limit for them is 80. So I'm not sure that they're really safe option. To me, I decided to rent a car. However, as you can see here, a lot of the roads are very narrow with very narrow lanes. you're squeezing through traffic, so you have to be very confident in your driving abilities. I guess you have to be a good driver to be able to squeeze through. Another thing is patience. There is no cruise control driving in the Philippines, and even like the car that we rented did not have cruise control. I guess it's something that you are almost never going to use be able to use in the Philippines. And here's how you might need to push your way through an intersection. If you don't do that, you might have to wait there for a very long time. Traffic will never end. You're waiting for somebody to let you in, but generally speaking, in the Philippines, people don't stop to let you in, and if they do, scooters will fly left and right. So you have to push your way through. And as you can see, everyone else is as well. Scooters will always be passing you. There was lots of construction as well. I believe this is supposed to be a new expressway. They're being built. It's probably going to be ready sometime in 2021. At times, you could get to a part of the road where it is much wider, and then other parts are much narrower. It is different. Here is one wider section that just baffled me. On the left is the normal road, which is normal two lane, and two-way traffic is moving there. And then there is on the right this wider section where you also have a two-way traffic. It just like it seems everyone goes wherever they want it. We did see an open road on several occasions, especially in Batangas when we're going to Club Pantafuego. And when the road is more open, there's not too much traffic. Well, cars would move at about 80 kilometers an hour. You still see tricycles that are going much slower, or scooters. The buses sometimes go 100 kilometers an hour, and even if they don't go 100, they would go 80. So still, don't expect to get as quickly as you would in Canada, for example. In Canada, you usually think like 100 kilometers is 1 hour. That will never be the case in the Philippines, even on an open road. And as soon as you get to a town or a city, traffic gets much higher volume, and you're gonna have to slow down significantly, stop and go. Generally speaking, from what I experienced, usually we were able to do about 40 kilometers an hour average speed when we were traveling on the other Luzon. Pay attention to the light poles in the right lane. There are many light poles and trees right in the middle of the lane, and this is why it can be very dangerous passing on the right. You have to be able to see far if you're gonna pass on the right. And let's talk about driving at night. This here is at dusk, and you will notice quite a few of the cars don't have their lights on. You may think, oh, it's still not like completely dark. Maybe they forgot to turn them on yet. Well, for some weird reason, quite a few drivers actually in the Philippines do not turn their lights on at night. I don't know why. I don't know what they think. They're saving electricity or gasoline or something, saving the planet. I don't know what's in their head. But they do not turn their lights. They'll sometimes just flash at you last moment. And yeah, just be very careful. I would recommend not driving at night at all. Just for that reason. Even jeepneys, a lot of jeepneys did not turn their lights on. I'm baffled. I don't know why, but it is a thing in the Philippines. And let's talk about expressways. All expressways are toll roads in the Philippines. And yes, you do have to stop and pay right on the spot. It's not like in Canada where they take a picture of your license plate and send you the bill at home. You have to stop every few kilometers. They are on different places, the toll booths, and you will have to stop and pay. So that slows your commute quite a bit. And you do have to wait at the toll booth. Sometimes there are long lines depending on traffic conditions, of course. But yeah, so expressways, what I mean by that is highways with interchanges. Depending on where you're from, you would think of motorways or freeways. So this is what they are. They are pretty good quality roads, but the speed limit is only 100 kilometers an hour. And you may think like of Canada, like when the speed limit is 100, I'll go 110, and some people even going faster than that. In the Philippines, almost nobody was going over 100 kilometers an hour. Usually, most of the traffic was moving at 80. There are different speed limits for trucks and buses. Trucks and buses are 80 kilometers an hour, and in some cases, they even have their own lanes. Some sections of expressway. However, I've seen buses going really fast, and generally speaking, they were the fastest vehicles on the road. Again, they're just chasing customers, I guess, and trying to get where they're supposed to be. And yes, there's a town in the Philippines called Mexico. Speed limit is not 100 all the way. There are sections with 80 kilometers an hour. There are sections with 60 kilometers an hour. And as you can see on this sign, there is also a minimum speed limit. And a minimum speed limit in certain sections where the maximum is 100, the minimum is 60. And this is what generally the speed limit signs in the Philippines look like. However, one of the expressways in Manila, Naya Expressway, the one going around the airport, The entire expressway is 60 kilometers an hour speed limit. That concludes our series. Thank you for spending the time today. Please like and subscribe, and please check other content on our channel. We have very diverse content with different options. Thank you. Bye.